I was at the stage where I didn't think that I would make my next birthday.
You described it as like your ADHD diagnosis changed your life.
I think it saved my life, to be honest. I hadn't left the house for 3 months. I was really depressed. I'd probably put on 2 or 3 sewing. No idea what the heck is giving me the confidence to do this video, but there was like floods of tears coming out, and I was like, I've never seen anybody explain my brain in the way that this book just has. And then everything clicked into place.
How did you get out of that rut?
Oh, we're turning it inspirational. I'm actually a huge advocate for healthy hustle.
That is so good. Like, I wish more people would hear this.
I never thought I would start my own business, to be fair. I never thought I was capable of it. So that's actually what gets me the most qualified and aligned leads.
Yeah.
I'm putting myself first. When I do that and I'm really selfish with myself, I can actually be the best version of myself for everybody around me.
How is going to the gym for 2-3 hours a day therapy?
I would say I'm either a potato or a tornado.
Is she on drugs?
I sound like a psycho. And that's a bit wild when you think about it, because you could have murdered me.
Hello, welcome to season 2 of Rebels podcast. My name's Shoaib. I'm the host of this podcast that you're listening to. I also am the founder of Yellow Hippo, a personal branding agency, and LinkedIn's given me a lot of opportunities, and one of them is obviously starting this podcast. But another big one is actually I found my best friend through LinkedIn, and I'm so happy that she's here today on the podcast. Karla McNeilage, welcome to season 2 of Rebels.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, a brief intro for anybody who's not aware of you.
So I'm Karla, I'm from Glasgow, 28, and I am the founder of Wave Socials. So we are content marketing and copywriting based services, focusing purely on organic social media.
I love that. And you're also great at what you do. And I think a lot of people listening to this podcast will be aware of you, or have seen some of like your services and like the work you do, and it is amazing. So shout out. But I just want to get back, because obviously we're really good friends.
Yeah.
But how we met is actually quite interesting, and I feel like it's such a powerful story to share with people. So we met on LinkedIn. Well, we connected on LinkedIn, right? How long ago was that? Maybe
Like two years.
2 years ago,
Yeah.
and then we saw each other at a couple of events. And I distinctly remember I was walking up to the bar, and I recognised you from LinkedIn, and we were just having a little chat. And then I turned to my friend and I was like, honestly, I don't know what she's saying.
Because my Scottish accent.
Yeah, I didn't even click, because I'd never seen you on video. I didn't even realise you were Scottish, and I honestly just thought you were a bit drunk.
I wasn't even drinking that night.
I know. That's the crazy of it. It's probably me. But then we didn't really speak that much at the point, and we met at a couple of more events. But then we started speaking a little bit on Instagram. And do you want to like finish the story of what happened next?
You're replying to all my stories. Tell me how inspirational I was.
Oh, okay. You can't slow that down.
No, I was posting more fitness, well-being, lifestyle type stuff in my Instagram stories. Just posting what I wanted to put out there, really, and we sort of realised how much we clicked and aligned, and we wanted to meet and co-work together.
Yeah.
And we originally planned Newcastle, because that was halfway between Glasgow and Manchester. And then I was like, you know what, I really just want to go abroad. And we were like, well, we'll do like a 3-day holiday. And then you were like, nah, let's just do a week away.
A whole week away abroad?
Yeah.
Was that the third time we'd met in person,
The
right?
second or third
The
time.
second or third, yeah.
And we had only spoke for like an hour or two at an event.
Yeah.
So we had never had any one-on-one time.
Yeah.
And that's a bit wild when you think about it, because you could have murdered me.
And now we're in a relationship. I'm joking. We are not in a relationship. But it's crazy how LinkedIn kind of put us together and went to a few networking events with a few mutual friends that we had.
Yeah.
And, we went on this holiday together, and we completely just, I feel like it was so transformative. And since then, we've obviously become really good friends, but you've helped me so much in business, in like my health and fitness journey, in my like wellness and well-being journey. I think people underestimate LinkedIn as a social platform and think it's just to find a job, it's just to generate leads or win business. But actually, there's so much more that you can get from it.
Oh yeah, 100%. I've met some best friends for life through LinkedIn, and they've really helped me elevate in all aspects of my life, which sounds a bit cliche, but with personal development. So they don't only push me on a business sense. So for example, when I spend time with you, yeah, you inspire me through business, and I maybe inspire you through wellness and health and fitness. But there's other people who also inspire me in different ways by, like, for example, pushing me to go on podcasts. This is the first ever podcast that I've ever been on.
Thank you so much for giving me that honour.
And it says, like, even about 6 months ago, a podcast is something that I will never, ever, ever do, because I really struggle to articulate myself sometimes, and I get really nervous. But I think having people around you who, like, sort of elevate you and push you out your comfort zone really helps. And that's something that I've not necessarily had that much, because a lot of the friends that I've always had work like maybe 9 till 5, and they're ambitious just in different ways, and they maybe don't understand the ways that we work in terms of growing our business and weaving life into that.
Yeah, I had Leah Turner on the podcast in season 1. I think she was episode 1 actually, and she talked about the power of kind of creating your news feed on social media with people who uplift and inspire you.
Yeah,
I think that's so important. And at the moment, I feel like there's a big jump on a lot of social media platforms to quite polarizing, like almost like toxically controversial content for the sake of clickbait, likes and views. Whereas what I found really kind of inspiring with your content, it's so positive but so real and authentic. Like what you share makes me want to like get better and be better, and it also helps me be better. So is that like an intentional, like, how do you approach your social media content?
I'm just I try and be a very glass half full person, because I've been on the opposite side and I just didn't like that version of me. Whereas now, I would basically hate for someone to look at what I'm posting on social media and compare themselves and have imposter syndrome, because I have that really bad myself every day, like regardless. So if I'm posting about my wins and successes, as a marketer, I'm great at marketing other people. I'm kind of bad at marketing myself. So just because I'm not inclined that way to really speak about myself positively, which I'm trying to combat, but any time that I do speak about my wins, I will say like, yeah, I've did XYZ, but here's the flip side of the coin, where like I've maybe been up working till 2 a.m, I've travelled like 15 hours in a train, I've like had a manic breakdown in between, had to go on midnight mental health walk, like, and I try and show that what we're doing is fun and exciting. But there's a lot that people don't see that goes on behind the scenes, which I think people tend to find inspiring, and I don't intend that. I just want people to know that like I'm happy and positive, but I struggle, and I try and like make sure that other people know that as well.
Yeah, I think it's about relatable content. And I'm seeing it as well through like the work that we do for clients and creating their content. That when you can hit like a pain point or some kind of commonality and bring people into your content so they feel seen and feel heard, or feel, oh, actually, what I've just seen, that describes my situation. So I'm going to follow this person because they're going to help me out of the rut that I'm in, or help me elevate and amplify and be better. It's just so powerful.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I feel like a lot of my content that performs the best is the storytelling type content, where I'm really vulnerable. So that's actually what gets me the most qualified and aligned leads, which is crazy to think about. But whenever I post about just being open and honest about maybe having anxiety, struggles with ADHD, I get so many leads, as opposed to me writing about content marketing and copywriting. And it's because people see the real me, I think, and they see like maybe my values, and they like how vulnerable I am. And I think that's something that more people should be open to doing.
Yeah, I'm such a believer in that. I encourage anybody who's sharing content online, especially if you've got a successful business and you know you're sharing the wins. I think it's so important to share the things that aren't great and the things that are a bit messy and complicated and don't kind of neatly fit into a box, but kind of just cause a bit of chaos in your life, because it's so true. And especially in startup world, or when you're first starting out, you know, I'm only two and maybe a quarter years into my own business, and still, like, you know, on the outside it can look things are going amazing, and they are, and I'm so grateful that I've got a wicked team and awesome clients, and definitely in a great position compared to when I first started, but still things go wrong, and I'm sure you experience the same.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's just so many things that go wrong on a daily basis that we have to try and like just figure it out, because I think we're all just winging it. Like
We are, yeah, 100%.
You're winging it so much, and people wouldn't think that.
You've seen it. You've seen the other sides of it, not the shiny kind of personal brand on LinkedIn. That's obviously all real, and I do share things that kind of do go wrong. But day to day, it's just so much chaos. I don't even think you can articulate it. You can impose it. It's constantly like putting out fires, and like last week I lost one of our biggest clients, and I'm okay talking about it, and it was, you know, partly my own fault as well, not my team, not the content, not the performance of content, which was amazing, one of our best client success stories, but it was actually a fault of my own. And then, you know, I remember I messaged you about it, and that by the end of that week I had 2 new clients onboarded, and got loads of like new opportunities, PR opportunities, and so much positive stuff has happened. So just within the space of 5 days, so much can happen. It moves so fast, doesn't it?
100%. It's just like a whirlwind, to be honest. Like that's what people say. People always say to me, your job looks so fun and all that, and it is. I love my job. Like I'm so happy, and I feel like I've found so much purpose doing what I'm doing, and I feel like not a lot of people are able to go through like life. They're even maybe in their 40s and 50s and still haven't found something that they love doing. So I do feel incredibly lucky to have found this path, but at the same time there's a lot of challenges, but I would take every single challenge to still be doing what I'm doing.
100%. Big question now, how did you find that kind of purpose, or, you know, how did you start out? What was the trigger for you to go down this path?
So I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life, and instead of going to uni and studying something traditionally that would lead into an industry like teaching or like accountancy or something, I followed a passion for writing. So I went and studied English literature, and I loved it. Like I would go back to uni in a heartbeat. I loved every second of it. It was hard, and I'm not putting down how hard it was, but I was really passionate about it, and I thought I wanted to become a book editor. And I started having some little jobs doing proofreading, editing and stuff, and I realised I'm way too creative for this. And then I started my own WordPress blog where I was writing about travel and lifestyle, beauty, fashion, literature, everything. And I was like, I love this. I really enjoyed just the whole process of taking the photos, writing the blog post, sharing on social media, tracking the analytics, and then seeing like, oh, this person from like Brazil read my blog post, this person from Australia. And this was about 9 years ago. So it was at a time when, especially like where I'm from, not a lot of people did that, but I was just following my passion. And then I ended up getting a couple of internships after uni. So I basically worked 8 months for free, juggling like probably 6 different internships, and a lot of them were unpaid. Like a lot of them were long hours, like sometimes 12-hour days going between different internships. And I wanted to find out what niche within marketing to focus on. So I would do like PPC, influencer, SEO, and then ended up working in organic social media marketing, which ties in basically everything. So I'm a really creative person, and I love content and photos and visuals, and I'm also really good and enjoy writing, so that all comes under the content marketing umbrella. And a lot of what I do ties in with like influencer marketing. I do creative direction for photo shoots, I write video scripts, I edit online news articles, I write emails, I ghostwrite for LinkedIn. So I'm very much a generalist.
That's an interesting debate. A lot of people say you should niche down, especially like kind of a couple of years in, and you've been doing this, you've been in the industry for 9-10 years?
Well, I've been doing it professionally for like 7 years, but yeah, I've did it on the side as well.
But then you've kind of settled with a more generalist service offering, which I think's really good. And I'm the same with Yellow Hippo. We work with clients from all industries, and the fact that the principles of building a personal brand are the same. Storytelling mixed with mission and values and purpose and value to other people as well. And we work across all industries: coaching, marketing, tech, supply chain, procurement, like anything. And I think it makes the job so much more fun, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, I love a challenge. Like I have ADHD and get bored really, really easily, and I specifically like working within industries that challenge me.
Yeah.
So, for example, I'm awful at maths, anything to do with finance. Like, I just can't deal with it. Like when I was younger, I used to have a maths tutor and all that. But now I've written like an 80-page ebook on accountancy. I have a client who's a CFO consultancy. Like I've written articles for Virgin Money, and it like I like that because it's like pushing myself like kicking myself out my comfort zone basically, and learning this whole thing that terrifies me. But that's what I enjoy about what we do.
Yeah, 100%. How did you go from kind of working in marketing roles, kind of 9 to 5 jobs, to then setting up as a freelancer?
So I worked as head of social for a couple of different e-com businesses, and we generated like really good results. Like a lot as a startup business, you wear many hats, which is how I've learned a lot of the skills that I have. But like I grew like an Instagram page from 2,000 to 80,000 followers in under 10 months, and like averaging like 2 million impressions, and like just actually loving what I do at the time. But also I had some toxic bosses and felt like I was undervalued and underappreciated. I was working like crazy long hours and was on a salary, but again wasn't really getting any wage rises or anything, despite all the work and the results and the effort that I was putting in. And this was all at a very difficult time in my life, like round about 2021, when I was just like really unhappy. I hadn't left the house for 3 months. I was really depressed. I'd probably put on 2 or 3 stone, and I was like, I just have to change something in my life. So I ended up quitting, and to be honest, I was at the stage where I didn't like think that I would make my next birthday, because I was just in a really, really bad headspace. So I didn't think I would make it to the age of 26, and I'm 28, which is wild to think about, and not a lot of people know that. But I think genuinely like starting a business probably helped me, because it gave me that purpose, and it means that I'm working for myself, and I'm not financially driven. I'm driven by like fulfilling my own cup and making myself happy, and then making other people happy, and helping ease the pain points of founders and make their life better as much that I can as well, which is sort of how I ended up getting in. And I was also really scared to go into full-time employment again and fall under the trap of another toxic boss. I mentally wouldn't have been able to deal with that.
What did that toxic kind of leadership look like?
It was, a lot of micromanaging.
That's quite common in social, isn't it? In social media, you've got to
yeah.
get approval for this or approval for that, and it's so restrictive to creativity.
Yeah, and I got penalised for building my personal brand on LinkedIn. I get told not to post on LinkedIn, and I think that's because they were afraid. They actually found me because of a post I had did on LinkedIn. They approached me and offered me the job right away, which is counterintuitive.
Very hypocritical to then say, we found you through LinkedIn, but we don't want you to post on LinkedIn in case we lose you.
Yeah, but
yeah.
So that held me back from building my personal brand for quite a long time, to be honest, because I was scared to lose my job. I had a mortgage, and I was doing like this big house renovation, and I had a lot of outgoings. So I was like, I need the income that this job is providing, no matter how unhappy it's making me. And in the meantime, I will just keep like plugging away at it and doing all that I can, not even specifically for the business, but so that I'm getting the experience that I need to then. I never thought I would start my own business, to be fair. I never thought I was capable of it. It's something I said I would never be able to do, but everything that I've did has led up to that point.
How many kind of clients do you think you've worked with now since starting? Do you have like a rough estimate?
I've not worked with that many. I've probably worked with between like 20 and 30.
That's a lot to go from like a job in like a company in-house and then set up on your own. And a lot of your business is inbound as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all inbound. I've never did any outbound, which I know a lot of people will say that's bad and that's wrong. And to be fair, I should probably do a lot more outreach with in terms of sales, but it's enough for me. Like I get enough leads just now who are actually aligned with me that I don't really feel that it's necessary at this point. And I'm at the point where I actually turn down a lot of business because I don't want to burn out, and I'm very intentional with who I work with. Because I
love that. That is so good. Like, I wish more people would hear this and like follow this route, because there's someone I worked with in the past called Amanda Baker, and she's wicked. She does like storytelling as well, brand storytelling, and she introduced me to this concept of a conscious hustle.
Yeah.
Which I absolutely love, because I feel like when I started my business, I was very much in the toxic hustle era.
Yeah.
And I was like working ridiculous hours, and people know the story who follow me, but I think I was doing things because I felt it was the right thing to do. I was doing this in my business because somebody else had told me to do it. I was copying somebody else's journey because I thought that was the way to success. And it all comes back to that purpose thing, doesn't it? Once you find your purpose, you can reverse engineer. Then suddenly you realize, actually, I don't need to take on X amount of clients. I don't need to do this. I don't need to say yes to this opportunity. And what you kind of preach in like, well, it doesn't come across to preach it at all, but what the message that you share is just so positive around do things that fill your cup and do it in your way, and anything else is just background noise.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm actually a huge advocate for healthy hustle, because it probably comes from having been in dark places in my life and like the refusal to get back there. But I know a lot of people, I know that you did this, build their business and they go all in full steam ahead, where I know that you locked yourself in your room and you just went full throttle, and it worked and it did wonders. But I wouldn't be able to do that. Like my mental health, because of the ADHD, I wouldn't be able to survive that. So I have to find ways to balance. So like I'm very into health and fitness, and I'll make sure that I exercise every single day. I did the 75 hard challenge last May. I started it July. I completed it, and I've continued those habits. So if you don't really know what, well, I know that you know because you started it after me.
So you inspired me then to do the 75 hard.
Yeah.
Or hard 75 hard.
The 75 hard.
And I absolutely loved it. It was like, I optimize like every component of my life. And I've always said, like, you can't optimize your health, your career, your relationships and all that at the same time.
Yeah.
And when I did the hard 75 hard, I keep getting it mixed up. I optimized everything in my life. I built such good habits and discipline, and it was 100% down to you doing it. I was seeing your Instagram stories and I was like, Jesus, she looks great.
Thank you.
Like, I need a bit of that in my life.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And you absolutely smashed it. And I think your health and fitness journey is something I really want to like touch upon in this podcast, because you're right, a lot of people do that hard hustle at the beginning, and I did it and I don't regret it, but it definitely wasn't sustainable long term. I think if you keep trying to do that, you will eventually just burn out and like shit will just hit the fan. But what's been your approach as well, because you've been kind of juggling getting to know yourself in that process with ADHD?
100%. So last year, like, my life took like a sort of 180, where I came out of a 10-year relationship and moved back with my parents. So I was lacking a lot of purpose and direction. And to be honest, a couple of my friends did the 75 hard challenge, and I was like, that looks really good. I'm pretty sure only 1% of people who start it actually finish it, because the rules are you have to do 2 45-minute workouts a day, one has to be outdoors, you have to read at least 10 pages of an entrepreneurial or self-development book, you have to drink a gallon of water a day. You've got all these things that you have to do. You have to eat a clean diet, no alcohol. And I was like, that sounds fabulous. So
I feel like most people are like, that's a nightmare. That's fabulous.
That's my cup of tea. So I feel like doing that at the time of my business was going well, but I was starting to get a little bit burnt out. That really, really, really helped me. And I actually took a little step back from my business. So a lot of my contracts were ending around about that time, and I didn't actually push for them to continue because I was needing burnout, and I was like not in a good place mentally. And I was like, I have to, obviously having been through like like heartbreak and quite a traumatic experience where like my life flipped so much. I was like, no, I need to take this time to focus on myself. So that's when I did the 75 hard, and then it's now like nearly a year and I've continued a lot of those habits. So I still work out every day. I've not drank alcohol. I'm teetotal. Probably will never drink alcohol again. And I still read a lot. I still make sure that I'm drinking water. I've working with a PT. I'm putting myself first and like filling my own cup. And I've realised that something I didn't realise until like probably the past year is when I do that and I'm really selfish with myself, I can actually be the best version of myself for everybody around me. So I can be like the best daughter, the best friend, like the best service provider. And to me, that's a non-negotiable. So sometimes like my life is a bit chaos. Like nobody ever knows where I am at any point during the day. Like
I can vouch for that.
I'm always running about like anybody knows me would describe me as just like bonkers or chaos. I'm a bit manic.
Showing up on my flat unannounced on the first day I moved in with your suitcase. Hello, I'm staying over.
Got trapped in Manchester. But yeah, the exercise, that side of things, because of the ADHD, it really like quietens the chaos inside my mind. And I've been nearing a panic attack before, and my mum's been like, Karla, you need to go to the gym. And I'm like, right, okay. And I know a lot of people would say that's maybe not healthy because you have to like be able to regulate your emotions a wee bit more, and I'm working on that. But at the moment, like the gym is 100% my happy place. And like even when my work is crazy busy, which it is a lot of the time, I will make sure that I dedicate time to working out. Like I go to a dance class and it takes about 3 or 4 hours out my evening when I go, because I have to go there and dance for a couple of hours, come back. It makes me so happy, but a lot of the time I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to have time to go, but I'll be like, you know what, I'm going to make the time. So I'll work right up until I leave. I'll probably work on the train. I'll go to the dance class and I'll maybe stay up until like 1 a.m, but it's fine because it's like a sacrifice that I have to, that will make me happy. It's a small sacrifice.
I love that because you're really good with habits and discipline as well. But it's just so refreshing to hear somebody talk about doing things that you want to do and not putting them off for business, not making those like big sacrifices for your career when you don't necessarily need to. It's kind of entrenched in us all, isn't it? We've been like socially conditioned to, put work first all the time. Yeah. And I love how you just like, I want to do this because it's good for my mental well-being, so I'm not going to sacrifice. I'm going to make sure it's in my diary and it gets done.
Oh yeah.
And I know, like, whenever I message you at the gym, like whenever I message you, you're there and you spend like 2-3 hours in the gym and like it's almost like therapy for you, isn't it?
It is therapy.
So, tell me about how is going to the gym for 2-3 hours a day therapy? Because a lot of people listening will be like, is she on drugs?
I sound like a psycho. It's not doing a full blown workout for like 3 hours a day. Sometimes it'll be like going a walk on the treadmill. Yeah. So like I used to go a walk every single day. This was 75 hard that built up this habit. For about 90 minutes, and that was just me time where I would listen to a podcast. I would maybe catch up on voice notes and WhatsApps, let them all build up and answer them my walk. And I had this experience with a weird guy coming up to me and trying to get me into his car, and it really, really freaked me out. Like I genuinely thought I was going to be taken away, and I didn't go a walk for like a month or 2 after that. And I was like, I really am annoyed at this man because I love my walks. I'm like a dog. I need my walk. I know. I need my walks. I feel like a lot of females probably have experiences like that, which is sad. But anyway, I ended up joining my gym and was able to like sort of build up the courage to go my walks, but also like walk on the treadmill as well, which is good. And it means that when I'm in the gym, like, unreachable unless you're sending me like random TikToks and stuff.
Every other hour you're getting TikToks
spamming me. Yeah, but it's my place where I just put work to the back of my head, and it's like, right, this is Karla time, and I'm such a crazy overthinker. My mind doesn't stop, whereas that is the only place where it's just it's just me and my music, or it's just silence, and it's just like I walk in and I'm so happy. Whereas a lot of people actually dread going to the gym. They're like, oh, I've got this like leg day, I can't be bothered, like I need to drag myself to go, and I'm like, no, I don't care if I have to get up at 5:30 in the morning to squeeze it in, because I'm like on the go 24/7. I will go.
Yeah. I think that's because that obviously helps with like when you get overstimulated with ADHD. And tell us a little bit about that, like the diagnosis. And I think you described it as like your ADHD diagnosis changed your life.
I think it saved my life, to be honest, because I thought there was something wrong with me for like my whole life, and I didn't really know what it was. I just struggled to do the things that people shouldn't really be struggling with, and I found it really difficult to just navigate everything. And I'm a very like emotional person. I feel things very, very deeply, and I like procrastinate a lot. I get distracted a lot.
You definitely get distracted a lot.
And there's all these things that I thought were just character flaws or personality traits. And my dad got diagnosed with ADHD 2.5 years ago, so I bought this book called Driven to Distraction so that I could read it and learn how to be a better daughter to him, so that I could learn about his brain more, because me and my family are really close. And about 8 pages in, I was reading it, and there was like floods of tears coming out, and I was like, I've never seen anybody explain my brain in the way that this book just has. And I was like, wait, maybe I have this thing that my dad has. And instead of reading it from the lens of a daughter who wants to help her dad, I started reading it through the lens of someone who might have ADHD. And then everything clicked into place, and I was like, holy crap, this explains so much about my life and my experience. And I like so many things in my life I can draw back to ADHD that I just thought were I didn't really have a reason for being the way that I was. And I was on the waitlist, the NHS waitlist, for 2.5 years nearly, which is a long time. Ridiculous. If I knew it was that long, I probably would have went private. But I got diagnosed in January, so only a couple of months ago. And when I got diagnosed, you'll know this at the time, but I just was so overwhelmed. I was just like grieving my younger self for a good couple of weeks. I didn't think it would hit me that hard, but I think for the 2 years when I was on the wait list, I really started researching ADHD, but I didn't let myself believe that I had it because I didn't want to self-diagnose. And then when she told me, it was a 90-minute consultation or like assessment. Within 20 minutes, she was like, she was like, you don't have to answer any more questions. She was like, you have combined inattentive and hyperactive ADHD. And then I started crying. I was like, I'm so sorry. And she was like, it's so common. And I felt like I just sort of grieved the younger version of myself who struggled so much, and realised that the way I am isn't like, it's not an excuse, it's like a reason. And it's just like learning about my own brain now. So I've just been I'm just trying to use it for good, and I know that I do struggle, and I'm just don't want it to hold me back though, because I know there's so many superpowers. Like there's the creativity and the hyper focus, and there's so many good things that can be drawn from it. There's a lot of bad, there's a lot of challenges and struggles, but I try and not and let myself think about that, because if I think about that so much, then I might drown. And I don't have time to drown.
I don't have time to drown. I don't think anyone has time to drown. So I just think what you mean, because I've worked with some ADHD coaches as clients of offline. I've been supporting them with the content, and I'm learning so much about it as well. And they also say similar things. You know, there's a movement on social media at the moment with like the whole ADHD being a superpower, and there's so many amazing things that people can like do who have it with the different way their brain functions. But also, it's not just a superpower. We can't forget the struggles that come with it as well. And I think that's really important to speak upon, which is why I like your content and your take on it so much more.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would describe myself as either being a potato or a tornado.
Wait, say that again.
I would say I'm either a potato or a tornado.
A potato. Okay, explain that one.
So I'm a very all or nothing person. My best friend would describe me right now as being in my manic ADHD phase,
Yeah.
which has lasted about a year. So
A whole year? I thought you were like a few hours.
no, it's just like it's not stopped. So it's me just doing a million different things, not being able to sit still, like running my business, but looking after my well-being, looking after my mental health and my physical health, like seeing all my friends. Like my social life is crazy just now. Like I've got plans every single weekend, sometimes Friday, Saturday and Sunday for the next couple of months, and I'm trying to juggle all that with running a business. And thank blooming goodness I don't drink alcohol anymore because I don't have time to be hungover. So I'm like that, or I'm the potato, and that's not good because that
doesn't sound good.
I mean, as much as I love potatoes,
They're so versatile, aren't they? Chips, mash, jack of potato.
As soon as I'm in my potato phase, I am really depressed and I don't leave bed. So even though I've been like tornado, like I did have a potato couple of days, like a month ago, and it's where I basically crashed and burned. And having been like ADHD, I would describe it as being like driven by a motor. That is how it is described. So you've got like 50 different tabs open, you're flicking through them all hectically. So sometimes you just crash and you can't get back up. And I think I must have spent about 3 or 4 days in bed just crying. And I just didn't really know why. I didn't know what was wrong. Everything was fine in my life. And I think I let myself get into that potato stage.
Yeah.
And then I had to consciously drag myself up.
Yeah.
And it's good that I can do that because a lot of people can't do that. And it's taken me a lot of years to be able to do that because I'm like, no, I'm not a potato today. Don't be a potato. I refuse. I've spent so much of my like mid-20s feeling like a potato. I just don't want to do that anymore. So I'd rather be a tornado.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to use that analogy all the time. I don't want to be a potato.
Yeah.
Luke Matthews, I had him on season 1 of the podcast as the bonus episode, and he talks about burnout.
Yeah.
He had some strong views on it that a lot of people agreed with, a lot of people disagreed with, and he said that burnout basically isn't real, and it's kind of your own fault for working yourself or not being self-aware and working yourself into the ground.
Yeah.
What do you have to say to that?
I would say
don't hold back.
at the time, like I sort of resonated with it, and Stephen Bartlett says something similar.
Yeah.
But the more I thought about it, the more I don't agree. Like I'm going to counter like I'm going to come bullshit. No, it's like that's fine. I think the way Luke phrased it was, if you're passionate about what you do, you can't burn out.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know about Luke, but as a neurodivergent, I'm so passionate about what I do that I will go full throttle, full steam ahead until I'm awake for 24 hours in a manic phase of just overworking and working out and doing all these different things that like there's no other option but to crash and burn sometimes. Yeah. And even though I don't want to do that, I probably should be like better at having a little bit of balance, but like to me, like the gym and all that is my balance.
It's harder to regulate.
Yeah.
Different brains, right?
Yeah. So like the burnout, if you spoke to someone with diagnosed ADHD and they were self-aware, I'm a very, very self-aware person, they would say that the burnout is inevitable. It's this loop where you're going, it can be a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, or a couple of years, but you're going non-stop. If you're going non-stop, you're going to have to, like if you're use the car analogy, if you're just like driving full steam ahead, full speed ahead, you're eventually going to run out of gas.
Yeah.
And when you run out of gas, you have to obviously fill your tank back up. So that's sometimes what I have to do, and that is when I'm a potato.
It all comes back to the potato.
So yeah, the burnout, like I 100% believe that it's real, and like I've went through it
Yeah.
a few times in my life.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting point. I also kind of, Luke changed my opinion a little bit as well on the topic. He articulated himself so well and he made a valid point. But again, different brains, like the way people think and behave, it's all kind of contextual, really. There's no right or wrong when it comes to it. So yeah. But moving on, I want to just quickly touch upon a few things you said earlier. You talked about kind of like a rough couple of years for yourself.
Yeah.
And getting out of that. Can we go into that?
Yeah. I'm at open book.
Oh, I know. Okay, tell us kind of what went wrong for you and then how you got out of that, because I feel like there's a lot of people who'll be watching this podcast who are stuck in a rut right now, whether it's in business, personal life, relationships, but you're somebody who's just like, which by the way I love, and I'm so proud of you for like the way you come across and everything you're doing right now, because you inspire so many people through your content. I know you get loads of DMs from people. You'll never say this yourself because you're too humble. I'm saying it on your behalf.
Thank you.
Like, you inspire so many people. So how did you get out of that rut?
I would say that, so like I genuinely had to like force myself out of the rut because I was in such a deep dark place that there was no other option but to get better. So if I didn't get better, I probably wouldn't have been here, because I was having like really intrusive thoughts, which again is part of ADHD, and anybody who has that will know, especially when you're undiagnosed and don't really understand your brain too much. And I had to make some life changes to be able to like turn that around. So one of them being like coming out of a relationship where we'd just like grown apart. One of them being starting my own business. But I also did things like the whole of 2023 was a year of really like self-discovery for me. So every single month I intentionally tried to push myself out my comfort zone. So I did like at least one thing every month where I was like, I need to do something that terrifies me.
Like what?
So one of them was
going on holiday with a stranger you met twice on
that
LinkedIn.
was probably one of them, to be fair. Yeah. Another one, which won't be a big deal to a lot of people, but I'm terrified of water, which is a little bit stupid because my business is called Wave Socials. I love water, but like from a distance. But yeah, my dad bought kayaks and it was like, we're going to go out in these kayaks and we're going to have so much fun. And I was like, am I hell going on that kayak? You won't get me out there. Point blank refusal. I've been in Fiji swimming with fishies and took a panic attack when I was just snorkeling. So I was like, no, I'm not going in a loch with a kayak, even though I could probably stand up if I fell in. And he was like, I'll get you a crash course. And I was like, no, there's no point wasting your money. So yeah, I ended up just doing that and like went out. My dad was so proud of me. He's like Kris Jenner. He's sitting with a video. He's got a video of him. He's like, he's like, I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud of her. He's never been as proud of me as when I went in that kayak. That's just a little thing, and it really helped me grow. And when I was out, I felt so free and liberated. And I feel like that's just such a life lesson for me. Even doing this just now, it's like so far out my comfort zone, but I feel comfortable obviously sitting speaking to you. And I think that is really positive for self-development. When you just like kick yourself way out your safe space
and be like, I'm gonna do one new thing, whatever it is. It can be like so small and it might be like meaningless to other people, but in your world, if it's something that pushes you a little bit out of your comfort zone, I think that's so important. Like, I think I'm gonna maybe set myself that challenge this year, like do something new that I've never done, that I wouldn't typically do once a month, because it's not just about doing that single thing and the enjoyment you get from it, but it's actually like almost reprogramming your mind to confront fear rather than to kind of run.
100%. And like I like to keep a list now in a notes app on my phone of the things that I do that are out with my comfort zone, because sometimes you forget and then you look back and you're like, look at all these things that I've done and I've achieved. But yeah, off the back of that, I had a client who was a life coach and motivation coach, and she did vision boarding. So in order to market her business better, she took me through a vision boarding session, and that was last April, and that probably really changed a lot for me, because I've always been like goal orientated, but not to that extent. So when you're sort of lacking clarity and direction and purpose, you're like, what am I doing? Like, not just in terms of health and fitness, but business, relationships, all aspects of life, all our life categories, so to speak. So I did this vision boarding session, and it was like physically cutting up like images from a magazine and all that. And not only was it like such a good creative outlet, I like put it on my window ledge and would wake up every single day and look at it. And I wouldn't really say it was a form of manifestation. It's just like visualizing the future that you want and all the things that you're going to do. So if one day I'm slacking a little bit or feeling a bit like a potato, I look and I'm like, right, okay, I've got these goals for my business. I've got these goals for my mental health, my wellness. I've got these travel goals. Like, I've got these goals to do with, like, I wanted to get back into writing poetry. I wanted to edit a book. I wanted to like hit X amount of money per month, and like managed to tick off like 90% of the goals within about 10 months.
That's wicked, because so many people that's like mentally set goals but not actually do anything to install like, the necessary steps to get there. And just seeing something every day just purely through repetition, like we did a similar thing. We went to Gran Canaria together on holiday, where we started till like 2 a.m. in the morning, and we went through each category in our life. And I think that's so important also to add that when you visualize or manifest or whatever you do, not just consider career and work, think beyond that. So I think we had like 8 categories, and there was relationships and social and health and what else was
like
family,
finances, business.
hobbies, like special interests, skills. There were so many things, and we sat there for like hours on end, just like writing down like just mood boarding and just journaling like the things we wanted to achieve and what we were good at as well, and what we could work on. And that's so important as well, because once you start writing stuff down, like I remember the first 2 weeks I got back, I was like on it. I was a machine. I was ticking like everything off, and then I ended up in hospital. But that's
I was like, what about the other 2 weeks?
but that's a separate story. That's an unrelated story. But like I was super on it, and then now like I'm back into that phase where I'm like back at the gym 5 times a week. I'm eating really healthy again, inspired by all your recipes. But it's so powerful to say what you're going to do and then do it. But if you just say it mentally and keep it in your brain, never usually happens, does it?
Oh yeah, and I think that's why it's so good to have people who are on your wavelength, because you're aligned with them. They're also goal orientated, and it's something that I've not necessarily had too much of in the past.
You're welcome.
Flatter yourself. But is it like us holding each other accountable? So the holiday, we, just to clarify, it wasn't like a beach holiday, it was a co-working and wellness holiday that we went on.
It was on a beach, like, it was by a beach, but it was a working
looking
holiday.
onto the beach. But every day we woke up and we would like maybe either go a sunrise swim or a sunrise walk. We would work from like 8 until 5, and then we would just like would do a workout and would maybe visit a new town or something, and then we'd do something even more productive in the evening, like goal setting and like having deep chats about our life and our purpose and all that. And that's, I think, when you goal set, a lot of people don't really understand is that you have to probably have these overarching goals. So like we had a couple of overarching goals. One of mine is to ultimately, I feel like my purpose here is to help people. That's what I got to the root of when I was working with my client who's the vision boarding expert. I just really want to help people in any way that I can. And I'm doing that through the likes of my business. And then you have these mini goals that you set from like different life categories.
And they're the important ones, right? Like when you really break it down, reverse engineer, because it's got to be really specific and something you can like action almost like the next day.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You've got to start really small and like incrementally build.
So if I'm like, for example, if I'm saying, I want to be able to help people, that's my overarching goal. Like a subcategory of that is I want to be able to employ my mum I would love to be able to employ my mum. That's obviously helping her in a way because she's working with her daughter every day.
Yeah.
In order to do that,
God help her.
we'd live our best life. In order to do that, I have to hit financial goals. In order to do that, what do I need to do? I need to post consistently on LinkedIn. I have to be able to get quality leads or referrals. I have to maybe get a website finally, like do SEO.
One goal triggers like an entire flow of action that follows. Which is, if you like, I always believe that motivation is a bit of like a weird thing. Like it's fleeting, I would say, but momentum. Once you do one thing, I feel like you build momentum because you see the result of what you've done, and that provides the motivation to the next thing. I think a lot of people sit around waiting for motivation, and I'm just like, do something, even no matter how small it is. Like take that first step, because once you've done the first thing and seen the result, that is the motivation that's going to drive you to the next one, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And instead of building motivation, I always say build momentum, because momentum gets you much further.
I love that, and I think a part of it is like taking action as well, which is a lot of people don't do that. They have all these ideas and goals and dreams and visions, but they don't action them, which is the differentiation between like whether or not you're going to achieve these dreams and goals and ambitions, or you're.
And here's like one very, very simple way for you to action like your goals, whatever you want to achieve, whether it's in your career, relationships. Get an accountability buddy. Yeah. And you're my accountability buddy, so I'm so excited that you're on the podcast. But basically, we'd have a call every Sunday on an evening, and we both knew each other's goals, and we'd just question each other, like, what have you done for X thing? What have you done for Y thing? I remember the first one we did, I was in a train station, I just met like a client, I was running around in Houston trying to find my train, and we were on FaceTime with some dodgy Wi-Fi, and I was like, we stuck to it, and I was telling you, like, I've done this, I haven't done this, but this week I'm working on this. And suddenly, like, I remember through the week, I was thinking, oh shit, I need to do that, because Carla's going to ask me about it. Like, she's going to give me a bollocking. I need to do it, and she's a scary woman.
I'm terrifying. No,
like that's such a simple thing. Like, find that person in your life who is also as ambitious as you are, and like hold them close and put something in the diary and make it routine. Because once you do that, like you make progress so much quicker.
Oh yeah, 100%. Just having someone who has your back, and like you will message me. So I always have my phone on do not disturb, but like you're an exception in case like we have a coding system whereby you'll text me all the time, and I won't reply because I just don't reply to people. I'm terrible at texting and messaging.
We're the same. Like that's another thing. Like respecting each other's boundaries is so important. Like I'll message you and I always say like don't bother replying until like you're free, even if it's a day, 2 days, a week. But yeah, sorry, continue.
No, it's just if there's like a code red emergency or whatever, you'll be like, Karla, reply right now, code red.
Code red. And we used the code red, didn't we?
We actually did use the code red.
I got mugged in London and it was like 1 a.m. in the morning, and I was like, I don't have a phone. I'm staying out of friends. She doesn't have a telephone. Like I'd logged into my mobile phone on the app on my mobile banking, and the phone got taken whilst it was logged into my mobile banking. I was like, shit, my entire like business account's like open and accessible. And I was like, I got back to the apartment. I was like, who's the one person at 1:30 in the morning that I could call to help me in this situation?
She'll be awake.
My laptop, Facebook Messenger, video call, and you're awake and like you're so helpful.
It's so funny.
To find that person who's gonna like be there for you at the 1:30 a.m.
When you get mugged. I'm happy to be that person.
You were great, to be fair. We've got a few more minutes. I just want to kind of ask a couple of quick questions. So one is, you went from a 9 to 5, like I won't say disgruntled, but somebody who was unhappy in their 9 to 5 to now being like a fully booked freelancer and having a really successful marketing company. A lot of young people, especially in their early 20s post uni, want to do that. What one bit of advice would you give them?
I'd say just start. Yeah, like as simple as it sounds, I took way too long at the beginning trying to get everything perfect. Tried to get the brand name, tried to get the logo, tried to get the colours, tried to get the option systems, and I wasted probably a couple of months doing that. That could have been me promoting my services, or me like even writing content and copy, engaging with people and networking on LinkedIn. Like I wasted too much time not starting. So like I'm glad that I actually did take action, obviously, but I would say just like go, and then if you fail, if you come up against anything, that's fine. That will just help you grow. That will help you refine your services and your offerings and anything else that you need to work on. But like the main thing is just go for it, but also make sure that you're able to do it as well, because I think a lot of people actually do give advice now. It's like they see the online businesses and they're like, oh, anybody can like travel and we can live our best life and we can run our business and make money from anywhere in the world, and it's so easy and anybody can do it, and that's not the case. So make sure that you can actually do it.
Yeah, like deliver on your promises ultimately. I think that's, especially in the personal branding world, it's so easy to build a successful brand for yourself and then and then kind of market yourself as somebody who to do it for others. I think there's a difference. I noticed it when I first started. Building my personal brand at the beginning was a lot easier, and then suddenly I'm building a brand for a 50-year-old female supply chain global leader, and it's a very different thing. Like, you've got to really know what you're doing. So I'd say my bit of advice to add on to yours would be start straight away. Even if you're working at very low fees for a client and you're undercharging, get that experience, get the results. Use that result as a form of social proof. Turn it to a testimonial, a case study, share and talk about the results and do it that way. Like, the best thing you can do is deliver great service. I 100% believe that with any service-based like business, if you do a good job for people, they will become your best marketers. They will refer you to people in their network, and you won't even need to spend money on all the different marketing channels, because good work travels.
100%. Like, you don't need to have like 100-page business plan before starting. Just like, as long as you have a baseline strategy, you can then work on adopt the strategy. And if you need help with marketing, then you can contact us.
Lovely little plug there. If people want to follow you, check your services out, where do they go?
Mostly my LinkedIn for the moment, so it's just Karla McNeilage.
Karla McNeilage. And I'll also tag you and everything. And when you eventually get that website done, I'll also add the website link.
And I'm actually kind of active on my Instagram, which is wave.socials, but that's more a creative outlet. So
and I follow it. I would recommend people follow that, because any content that you share, it's all like well-rounded. It's not just like hardcore business advice tips. It's actually just so, like, I read some of your content sometimes and it just makes me feel better.
Oh, that's so nice.
I know, that was a lie. It genuinely does. Like, it just brings positivity to otherwise sometimes very boring or toxically negative newsfeed. But I do have a question that I've been like burning to ask you, and I think I might make it like the continuing question for season 2 of Rebels, because in season 1 I always asked what would be like, what unpopular opinion do you have that could potentially get you cancelled one day, and I just feel like whatever you say, you're never going to get cancelled, because you're so sweet and just like the nicest, most genuine person ever. So instead I'm going to ask you a different question, and that question is, what's like some of the best advice that you've ever had?
Oh, we're turning it inspirational.
Yeah.
I would say my 90-year-old gran. I asked her the exact same question.
You?
I asked her for you. You says...
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, I says, can you tell my friend Shoaib what is the one piece of advice that you would ever give? Just give one piece of motivational advice. And she says, go with your gut. No matter what, just go with your gut, because if you don't, you will regret it down the line. And I like hold that with me, and I know it's like quite a common saying, but I'm taking it from this saying of a woman who is 90 years old, has 10 children, and has lived a very full life.
Oh, she's amazing. She went viral on TikTok recently.
Yeah, she went viral. Oh my God, she's going to kill me. But yeah, I think that's just so important to remember in all aspects of life.
Yeah, no, that's wicked advice. That's so good. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We're actually going to a concert now. Like, we're running to the train after this to see Neo, which is very exciting.
We booked it in the wrong city.
Yeah, we thought we booked it in Manchester, but we actually booked it in Newcastle. That's classic. We realised last night. But, genuinely, like, I've had so much fun, like, just being here with you on the podcast.
Being my friend.
Yeah, just being your friend. Like, you're so great. Thank you so much for coming, and it's an honour to have you as my first guest of season 2.
Thank you so much for having me. It's fab to be here.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to Rebels podcast with me, Shoaib Ahmed. If you've been watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you've been listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, then please give us a 5-star rating and a follow. The more successful this podcast gets, the bigger and better guests we can have on in the future. Thank you.